Oh man, get this fool out.
This is
Get
Dillon
this
Danis.
idiot out, man.
But he's sitting quite. JJ, how much of a tougher test is Joe Fournier than Dillon Danis?
Oh mate, Dillon Danis is a on the end of my foot, bro. He ain't nothing.
Immediately, KSI just shows Dillon absolutely zero respect, as that is the behaviour he has earned for himself. How could you be a MMA fighter, yet afraid to fight a YouTuber?
I literally, the only reason I wanted to fight Dillon was to get the MMA community on to watch my fight. So that then when I eventually fight Jake Paul, they're like, oh shit, yeah, Jake ain't shit. It was all just a business play.
Dillon, are you on?
I don't think this works, though, no?
Dillon showing some more ineptitude. What's new?
We can
hear you. Is it working?
It's working.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, what's up?
Man, get this
bro.
Yeah.
So why'd you pick this fight with Fournier, huh?
Oh, honestly,
Yeah,
nah, I'm off. I can't be asked. I'm gonna say something mad. I got too much on the line, so fuck you, bro. Go fuck yourself.
How much did you pay him to take the fall?
Dillon Danis, pipe down, son.
Well, I'm pretty certain that was all KSI and Dillon Danis had the interaction of. It was more Joe Fournier versus Dillon Danis, realistically, and you know what? I have no interest in hearing those two men argue. They're both liars. They're both a little sketchy. They're both egotistical and narcissistic to a fucking T. However, I believe Joe Fournier does believe in boxing. However, he's not taking this fight seriously. And I don't believe he will win. That's to say Dillon Danis wouldn't win as well, because he wouldn't even get in the ring. Anyway, moving on. In other news in the YouTube boxing world, Nate Diaz, set to fight Jake Paul in August, has been charged with second-degree battery. While I don't necessarily believe he was completely in the wrong, I do believe there's a lot more to this situation than meets the eye. As you can read here, it says Nate Diaz's legal odyssey is set to kick off after the former UFC fighter choked a Logan Paul impersonator out during a street fight in April. You couldn't possibly mean this lookalike, who's been in contact with most likely Jake and Logan. Oh, couldn't be him at all. It is him? How convenient. A preliminary court hearing date has been set for June 27th in New Orleans, Louisiana. Diaz is facing a second-degree battery charge, which a felony that comes with up to 8 years in prison and or $2,000 in fines. While it's extremely doubtful that the Stockton fighter will end up spending any significant time in jail, a guilty verdict could certainly make an expected civil suit much more expensive. Nate Diaz and his teammates got into an altercation with a former football player and YouTube celebrity boxer, Chase Demore, during a Misfits boxing event featuring Diaz's teammate Chris Avila. After a verbal altercation, video footage showed Diaz throwing a bottle at Demore and his team before being escorted out of the event. Later that night, Demore and Diaz came into contact again outside a New Orleans bar. While details are sketchy as to who started what and why, videos posted on social media show a full-fledged street brawl in effect, with members of Diaz's team and Demore throwing punches until police arrived to break things up. Now this is some crazy bonkers shit. Chase Demore, continuing to show absolutely no respect to the sportsmanship of boxing, to the rule set. Not much better than Nate Diaz. You're trained, you shouldn't be allowing this sort of violence to come from you in public. You're fully aware of the power you have and how you could injure somebody. Nate Diaz did it earlier that day and shows the same behaviour later on that evening. It's not much better from his side. However, Chase Demore does the same thing. Chase Demore earlier that evening punched Stevie Knight several times in the head while he was down, and then continued to show violent behaviour in the event and after the event. So two very immature man-children decided to attack each other in the street because of their egotism. And now Nate Diaz's fight with Jake has been called into question. What the fuck? What in the absolute fuck is going on here then? 62.5% of you aren't subscribed. Yes, you. How could you live like this for so long? Subscribe now. The New Orleans Police Department has issued an arrest warrant for Nate Diaz on a charge of second-degree battery. KSI responds, well, if that means Jake won't have an opponent in August, then I'll gladly come in after I KO Joe Fournier in May. Jake Paul responds with, great, I accept you as the backup opponent. Fight is at 185. There are no rehydration clauses. Stay in shape, and we will give you a call if needed. Thanks, buddy, for being so humble and committed. Now, do I think that the fight is actually going to happen with JJ as the backup opponent? Not realistically. It's the same threats that Jake made earlier this year with JJ's fight. It would mean that JJ would have no say in the contract. It would mean that the fight would be rushed and wouldn't be sold as the event that it could be. It wouldn't meet its potential. So I'm sure JJ is down and I'm sure Jake is down, but I don't think their teams are going to. Is it going to happen? It's unlikely, but it is possible. It is very possible. This is another interesting tweet I found from JJ. Nunes, I love the energy you and your fans brought to Kingpin. As soon as you won your fight, majority of the audience left. You need to realize that you're bigger than Kingpin. I want to fight you in a stadium in Brazil. Whatever Kingpin are paying you, I'll triple it. Kingpin will replace you with somebody else in the tournament. Let's do it after my fight in May at Winterson. Now, personally, I would love to see this fight happen. I think Brazil would be the perfect place to do it. But I also will need Nunes to finish this tournament because I feel like he could be one of the best. I doubt it'll happen after the fight in May, like he says, but I do hope it does happen eventually down the line. This next story is pretty much just for fun. I like Mams Taylor in my YouTube videos lately, especially after finding out his true age, his vampiric ways. So, yeah, Mams tweeted this. Some of you guys blame me for everything. Lol. Seriously, if both fighters agree to more rounds, we would facilitate, no problem. If not, it stays as a 3-round war. This fight took a lot for me to make happen in the first place. I'm just glad we get to see it. And Mams Taylor, in this little paragraph here, is talking about the Anthony Taylor Salt Papi fight. Salt Papi will not let it go to 4 rounds, which is really, it really will change opinions on how a KSI versus Salt Papi fight would go down. It's not realistic. If Salt Papi can't handle 4 rounds with Anthony Taylor, he won't be able to handle 6 rounds with JJ. I think it will be a good fight. However, with this new information, not too sure about Salt Papi's career. But yes, somebody replies, this is why Jake is levels above all these other influencers. LMAO, Jake's been doing 8 rounds while everyone else is doing 3 or 6 rounds max. Mams replies, yet he refuses to fight KSI for even 1 round. Tiny Toy 05 replies, bro, you guys said Jake is the end goal and you won't fight him till the end of the year. You also said negotiations would take ages to make, so how is it him refusing? This is so boring now. You guys said he's rejecting, his team said you rejected. And Mams replies with the same reply I've heard a few times now. He rejected 2 fight dates after the main terms were agreed. December and August. He opted to go back to fighting MMA dudes where he's had more luck. Jake has decided to go fighting MMA dudes where he's had more luck because he needs to save his boxing career. That is the most reasonable explanation for why Jake is ducking. I don't believe JJ is ducking, but I believe Jake needs to say he is to keep himself afloat. I also believe that all y'all need to stop attacking Mams Taylor. He's over 2,000 years old, as we all know. You don't know the power that man has. But anyway, that's all for today. It's been a few days since I recorded, getting back into the swing of things. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe. I'll see you next time. As always,